Cinco de Mayo fun coming up tonight.
That's right. It is Cinco de Mayo, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess not.
I just have my 5-year-old's fifth birthday. Yeah, born on Cinco de Mayo.
Nice.
That'll be a fun 21st birthday.
Yeah, and he's half Latin. My wife is Mexican Colombian, so
Oh, perfect.
yeah. But it's not. It's not even a holiday. It's like they think it's like Independence Day, like Americans. It's not. It's like no big deal. I don't even know what it is.
It's a
Yeah, I've
reason
heard that
to
before.
have a margarita, is what it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do think that's about as far as I'm going with it.
It's like a lot of holidays are just made up.
Although,
Spiky economics.
well, yeah, they'll just keep adding more to the calendar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Although I discovered a pretty good little margarita recipe. If you got some pomegranate juice, um, so you make your usual margarita. You got I usually do about 3/4 to an ounce of lime juice and about 3/4 of some sort of orange liqueur or triple sec, and then
Mm-hmm.
usually about 2 to 3 ounces. And sometimes I really like the 3 ounce pour of the tequila, and then about a half ounce of simple syrup, and then 2 to 3 ounces of pomegranate juice. That is a very
Hmm.
tasty.
I like a little sliver of jalapeno.
Oh
Is it
yeah,
Yeah,
jalapeno?
same here.
Just
yeah.
not a lot, just like a sliver.
Hmm.
Just enough to add a little bite to it.
Yes.
Let's see,
Salt
Joe.
or no salt.
No salt for me.
Yeah,
I
I,
like the
I
salt.
like the salt. I like a half rim, so you can
Yep.
jump back and forth.
Hey, when they do the salt and Old Bay.
Mm. On a like a Bloody Mary or Bloody Caesar. Yeah,
Yeah, that's good.
that was. I had to move up here to basically live in Canada and realize what a Bloody Caesar is.
I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, I'm not familiar.
That is a Canadian Bloody Mary, basically, and it's like it's a meal. It's a meal in a glass. It's good.
I like those.
Well, here, 3 seconds, guys. And boom.
You have to send me the
It,
recipe for that.
for the Bloody Caesar.
Yeah.
There's some good YouTube videos that'll show you how to make it.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's Mixology Friday, not Refresh Friday. And Matthew, the bartender's here.
Yeah.
Oh, I see we've already got a request for Polestar, Matthew.
Wow. Please and be honest. Whew.
What's the
Yeah.
question?
Can we talk about Polestar? Please and be honest. Absolutely. I love talking about Polestar and all EVs in general.
Yeah, we can definitely dive into that. Let's start with EVs. Why not?
Let's do it.
All right. So we were talking the other day. You were mentioning to me that you're seeing a particular Mercedes store where all the gas vehicles are flying off the lot for massively over sticker still, but the EVs are sitting there, and there's more of them, and more of them, and more of them just piling up.
They keep coming in.
Yeah, how's that going for you, Jeff?
About the same. Yeah, we got plenty of EVs. I mean, we're a smaller store, so we're not going to see quite as many, but I would say we may be at a 50-50. 50% gas, 50% EVs right at the moment.
And the
Yeah.
Mercedes model lineup now is there's four EVs,
Mm-hmm.
and then how many ICE vehicles are there?
Oh my goodness. I don't know.
A dozen, 11.
Yeah, at least.
So
I
it's a
can't keep
quarter.
up with them.
Right. So would you say the EVs are a quarter of the lineup now? Is that a
Uh, overall, 20%.
okay?
Yeah, it's probably say about 20%. Yeah, I mean we're selling more, but not. It doesn't correlate to how many we've got on the lot. That's for sure.
And what's the
And I
what's
think a
the
lot, of, a lot of that really comes down to the price point.
Absolutely.
I
I think
mean,
that was Matthew. That was your point too.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean, I don't think we have one that's cheaper than 60. And on
you know,
average, they're about 70, 80. And then we've got a handful of them out there that are well over 100. I mean, they're like S class, territory. No, they're not an S
with,
class.
with all the new tax incentives on EVs, buying an EV is is not even part of the equation. EVs now are a car that a consumer is going to lease because all leases qualify for the 7,500 federal incentive, and 99% of the manufacturers are giving that upfront with the lease. So when it comes to a value proposition on any lease, it's the lease value for the EV, because anyone um, that was buying them, they were buying them at a time where they were getting 7,500, and they looked at it like this, the price is 80 minus 75. That's great value, and that's gone. So now all
Mhm.
EVs are about the lease and the value of the lease.
Hmm.
Which I'm sure the manufacturer would prefer.
Yeah, I mean, they would. I don't think everybody has a plan on what to do when they come back yet. Um, Tesla keeps them all right now, which they adapted, a few years ago. So customer can't buy them, and I think Ford followed suit with that as far as keeping them, not giving the customer a purchase option. And then there's all these third parties that want these cars, and they want to hold them on their balance sheet, and they think they're going to depreciate less over time. And I don't know, they'll use it for subscription or ride sharing. Um, it's a bit unknown. But I see, and in no way, shape, or form am I anti EV. It's going to be a hockey stick. It's going to take off. But right now, in order to move these vehicles off everybody's lots, there needs to be such great value that
Mhm.
gets customers to say, yes, I'll try it. And they will. And there's customers out there that said, no, 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 I'll never take an EV. And then all of a sudden, they get hit in the face with such a great value proposition that they're like, I'll take them. And they start referring you a ton of people. So
What are
uh,
you using as the value proposition for that? I'm curious.
it's got to be a deal. It's got to be, and for me, it's a lease. It's got to be such a tremendous value that they say yes. And I see, Tesla is moves the market, and they have more supply than they've ever had. And every month in every market, Tesla is playing around with the pricing. They're lowering it, they're raising it, they're maximizing their incentives, which they didn't qualify for previously. But people are saying yes when it's such an amazing value proposition. And that number is different for every car and every person, every market. But I mean, car deals, we say buy the market. When we sit
Hmm.
in these meetings, we're like, what are you spending all this money on branding for? You're spending X amount of dollars for tier one branding. It doesn't show a car, it doesn't show a payment. That's ridiculous. For years, car dealers said, put the money on the car. And I think in EVs, you want to sell EVs, they got to put the money on the car. It's got to be a value. And people will then say, yeah, I do. And they'll take it up. But, that's not going to happen until they start piling up at the port. They start piling up on dealers' lots. Then dealers say, we're not taking these cars anymore. And that's new because for the last few years, we've been raising our hand, give me anything. Calling the factory up, I'll take anything you have to wholesale me, I'll take it. But I mean, when
I
I
know, but
yeah,
like what Drew said, it's like look at the prices of them though. Like our cheapest EV on the lot right now is 56,000,
okay.
and
And what would it compare
five or
to,
we've got
Jeff?
5 or 6 EQSs that are well over 100,000. Like that's not your average buyer.
Your your cheap EV, cheap. Would it compare to a C class?
Yeah, Mercedes really went more with the hybrid. I shouldn't say hybrid, but the sort of the smushed down SUV. That's like the EQS. I still don't think it's quite as large as an S class, but it sits in that realm for sure. Um,
I remember
maybe a little bit larger, but yeah, I'd say between C and E class.
I remember losing deals to those C
Like,
classes
Yeah,
when their lease
EQ.
was crazy, and it was like I don't know, it was like 399, 349 for these cars. That they've got to be in that range to move those cars.
Yeah,
hmm,
yeah. He said it right. The GLB is the EQB, pretty close in size.
you can tell how much
And
attention.
again, that's like it's like in between the C and the E.
Yep. Gotcha. So yeah, you can tell how much attention I'm paying to. But
I work beside them all day long, and they've pumped out so many so quick that different styles. I mean, it's if you're paying attention, you can keep up with it, but I'm not always paying attention.
hmm.
There's
So
also there's just so many cars out there now too. So it's not like
Yeah,
you've got that one person waiting on the sidelines dreaming up of that one model. Everybody has an EV or multiple EVs, and there's just so much selection. And then you still got Tesla just whooping us and playing around with their pricing. And some people compete, and some people can't. It's nuts.
I've driven one Tesla before. It was the cheaper one. I they're I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that they really aren't much comparison for the Benz. The Benz EVs are. I wasn't anti EV, but I was like, yeah, I'm not going to buy one myself. But I took a couple of them for a drive. I took the EQS. I got out of that thing. I was like, damn, this is. I mean, again, it's $100,000 vehicle, so it better be freaking nice. But I got out of it, and I was like, damn, okay, that was impressive. It was
It's
impressive.
hard to get into a nice car after driving EV because of the instant torque, the one pedal driving. They're so fast. It's a lot of fun, and then, again, but that's people don't. You have to drive it. You have to experience what the drive's like, and there's nothing else like it, and you probably don't want to go back um, after driving something like
Yeah,
that.
if you drove it long enough, I could see how a lot of people would feel that way.
so question: if we got such a more expensive vehicle and the EVs are beginning to stack up on the lot a little bit, um, is there any issue with floor plan right now? Because interest rates are a little up, and we've probably been, as a dealer body, used to not really having much floor plan other than used cars for a while. So
I think every brand, every region's a little bit different, but I think as soon as supply creeps up, you're going to see dealers put cars on hold, and they're going to stop taking cars. And the manufacturers usually don't they're not motivated to do anything until the dealers stop taking the cars. And then when they stop taking the cars, then they say, okay, we got to go back to the drawing board and add add you know add the rebates and incentives in trunk county. But I see it. And again, every brand's different. You know, some brands are back to 2019, so many cars, race to the bottom, no gross. And then there's some brands out there, and they're still holding gross. They still are short a car. Um, but it's coming. Supply is coming. So everybody will catch up.
So when do you think that that'll happen, Matthew? That we'll start seeing the first brand that says, "Hey, we've got enough. I'm not taking any more of these." Do you think it
I
might
think
be Mercedes? And
no, I think for a lot of brands, they're already there. They're already there. I'd say, if I'd say at least a quarter of the brands are already there. And I think as we continue the year, I think by the end of the year, everybody will be there. Though
hmm,
by the end of the year, everyone will
except
be there.
Toyota.
Yeah,
Yeah. Huh.
and I think some of the competitors are waiting on Toyota to have supply, and then they go to the races. But while they don't have supply, they're holding back, saying, "Okay, it's nice not spending all these incentive money on cars when we don't have to."
Right.
Hmm.
Hmm.
There's another pretty interesting market dynamic that I see coming. It has to do with China because for years all these manufacturers that we sell, they made so much money in China and they were doing so well in China. Right now, if you look at all the press and everything that came out of Shanghai, all these local Chinese companies, their tech is so much more advanced than the traditional luxury European cars. And the consumer preference in China is about all this crazy tech. I think that they're going to need the US more than they've ever needed. And when I say they, I mean, the the big European domestic companies that were making all this money in China. It's not going to be so easy for them because of the consumer preferences have changed so much. They're going to need the US market. They're going to need us more than they've ever needed us in the past.
Hmm.
And I see that as an opportunity, but also um, as something that we need to be ready for because they're going to be building these cars in China or um, and the Chinese market's going to want this crazy car with crazy technology, and they're going to say, okay, we got to give these cars to the U.S. and they got to make them go away.
Hmm.
Hmm. Okay.
That's an interesting foresight. Yeah.
I follow all of these these Chinese EV companies, and I mean the tech is bananas. It is just so crazy. It would blow your mind. And the type of cars that they're looking at, it's like the future. And I think I read in Automotive News Farley just came back from Shanghai, and I think he just had a quote like yesterday, same thing. Like when you see what's coming out of China, it will blow your mind. And I had friends that were over there, and they always talked about Chinese cell phones and mobile, and they talked about how the Samsung and the iPhone is nothing compared to the cell phones that they have in China, and how they operate and how they use WeChat and
Hmm.
I think the same thing's happening with cars. And again, like nothing I'm saying is negative, but I think that's going to put a lot of burden and pressure on us to deliver what all these manufacturers used to get in China because it was easy for them there. They made a ton of money there. The customers love the cars there. Um, but I think that the dynamic's going to change a little bit.
Hmm. Interesting. So EVs, back to the consumer side for a moment. And, we're hearing about people who've spent a few years in a Tesla and now they're maybe jumping ship to going back to a gas vehicle because of the convenience factor in charging. Um, so if you don't have a charger at your house, it's a little tougher to own an EV, I hear. Especially maybe in California where something like 30% of the chargers are busted at any time. And I see here in Vermont, there's a great network of chargers, all kinds. So Vermont has been uh, very what's the word I'm looking for? They've adopted the EV in a big way.
Progressive.
Yeah, that's a good word for Vermont. And then uh, and then I go back home to Virginia and Virginia Beach, especially, and there's nothing.
Oh, really?
No chargers. No, nowhere.
Hmm.
Nothing.
Hmm. We see quite a few in this area. We've got a lot of the nicer restaurants and stuff. They've got like an EV charging area, and then right up from where we're actually located, there's a huge EV charging station. But it's positioned right beside the outlets outside the mall. But you can go there, and I think there's like 70 to 80 chargers in that area.
Hmm.
And of course, every dealership has to have one.
Of course.
Of course,
I mean,
most dealerships are hiding them so customers don't come and use them or put them on lockdown.
Sounds
you
about
know, it's exciting. It's all happening so fast, and you know, people that said no EV, no EV, when the value proposition's there, they'll jump on it in 2 seconds. We're right outside New York City, so most of our clients, will do some sort of level 2 charger at their house. And again, those long trips are when you need to tap into the charging network, and you know, I Tesla still owns that as well, and they're opening up some to the public, but they got to get more opened up, and yeah. But again, and then you look at like I look at range, and everyone's always talking about range. That metric, I think, once we all get to a certain threshold, I think that metric is going to be outdated, and it's not going to be about range. It's going to be how fast can I charge? How fast can I
Yeah.
get enough charge to move on the way? But it's
I
interesting.
mean, when I'm traveling with my wife and kids, I mean, we got to stop all the time, anyways.
Yeah.
It's always a bathroom break. So,
yeah, but
so
not
if you
stopping
could
for
charge it
6 hours.
real quick, a couple
Exactly.
minutes to get it charged, no big deal.
Yep.
Drew, with all Drew's comments, Drew, if I get you an awesome EV for $299 sign and drive, you'd put one in your stable. Forget about anything else.
He even
Yeah.
said he'd put down payment on that earlier
Okay, cool.
to
All
get
right.
there. So
We will talk afterwards. I'm gonna get Drew. I'm gonna get Drew a short term lease on an EV, and then he'll report back, and I'll get Joe one too.
hey, Drew was I believe he did have a lightning on order, but as the
Yeah, he
price
did.
hike just kept happening, I think he had to
Yeah,
walk
you're
away
right.
from it.
Now's the time, though. I mean, everything is softening. Like everyone is softening.
Tim, this is pretty funny. The next comment from Tim: will you co-sign? Yeah. So, what's the cost of installing a level 2 charger?
So I would say it really depends on the house. Newer homes have their washer dryers normally on the main floor, and sometimes like close to the garage. So something like that would be a very convenient install. I
So you need
think
a
for
240 volt. Is really all that is.
yeah, but it's not so much the volt. It's that the older houses that might have something like that in the basement. That it would be more costly. But we're seeing most of our customers on average between $1,000 and $1,500 could get it installed, and a lot of people just do the install and then use the charger that the vehicle comes with. I would say half of the customer are getting the wall box that allows you to use the app and really enjoy like the full process. I would think more people would want the wall box with it, so they could program everything, see all the details. But I'm seeing about only half of our customers are actually going with the wall mount, so they could use that.
Interesting.
So my she's got a hybrid, and it's just a normal plug it in every night. What
Yeah.
what kind is that? I mean, we didn't have to install anything. We just
No. Again, that's considered a level one,
okay,
level one
level one.
charger. level one, and those are typical pretty slow. Um,
Hmm.
Level two is what most people do in their home, the most type of charging. And then depending on the battery size, you'll see the different times, the charging
Okay.
times. But yeah, if it's a plug-in hybrid and you have, I don't know, what's it, 12 hours, 13 hours? I don't know how long. It depends on the car.
Yeah,
Um,
sounds about right.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she plugs it in every night.
Yeah. But I mean, you should get a quote for a level two. It's not crazy.
yeah. I had our whole garage because I have a wood shop and got a couple of stationary machines that run off 240. Needed a sub panel because you blow things all the time. You know,
Hmm.
and yeah, I think the whole thing like wired up with multiple 240s in custom like outlet where I want it and different things. I think I probably paid about 12 or 1,500 bucks for the whole thing, and that's
It's not
overkill
evil.
for what you need for a car. Yeah. All right. Hmm. There was one other thing with the EVs. Wanted to hit on before maybe we move over to some AI fun. Um, the battery replacement, not something.
Yeah.
Does that like in the sale of an EV? Does that ever come up in conversation? The customers ask about it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe a little bit. We just did our first one. You want me to share how it went?
Yeah, sure.
Uh,
First
you guys
battery
a
replacement.
video. Hold on. I don't know. Let's see. Wait, there you
There
go.
you go.
That's that's the new battery, and we're taking it into the shop.
I see you
And
got one of those fancy EV moving machines.
Forklift.
believe believe it or not, our store that did this is next to a plumbing supply store. So we had to barter with them to borrow their forklift operator for about 2 hours. And I wonder if we could put the forklift operation into our warranty claim uh, when we're
You
getting
would think so.
reimbursed
Why not?
for that reimbursement. We should be able to. But knowing the factory, they're gonna start reselling forklifts to us, and they'll negotiate some deal where we're overpaying for forklifts.
Hey,
Um,
Volvo sells forklifts.
yeah,
Sure,
they
true.
do. Yeah, yeah. God, it's probably expensive. But yeah, that was our first ever battery replacement um, under warranty. Most of these battery replacements are going to be under warranty.
Hmm.
I hope so.
I know that. Uh, yeah, some of the first hybrids, like the Priuses, they definitely were not. That was customer pay.
Hmm.
Yep. Hmm.
What did they run?
I don't. This is going back, but I want to say it was like 6 to 8 grand.
Okay.
Somebody can comment and correct me if that number's changed. I'm going back many years on that one though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, you could start a start a business, forklift business.
Selling
Get
forklifts.
yourself a nice big Ford F-250 and haul that thing from dealership to dealership as they need them.
Not
How
a bad
heavy
idea.
is that battery? Do you want to know how much that weighs?
Oh my, I have no idea. Someone's got to Google. I don't want to even guess, but it's pretty heavy.
Yeah. Hmm. And what do you think that cost to do that replacement?
I think it's 20,000. I think it's something. It's crazy.
Hmm.
I'd say 15 to 20,000.
What kind of car was that battery for?
That was actually for a Polestar 2, and I believe that it was only a few cells that went bad. They had us replace the whole thing. So who knows? Maybe in the future we'll be able to just replace a couple cells.
Looks like it went average about 1,200 pounds.
Yeah, Drew's saying 1,000 pounds on the Bolt.
Yep. This is saying 1,700 on the Model Y. Model X is 1,183 pounds.
Hmm.
1,200 pounds on the Model S. I just looked up Teslas real quick. Although the Hummer EV battery is almost 3,000 pounds.
Oh, and good timing.
Three
Check
thousand
out
pounds.
how much Ryan says it costs for the Hummer EV battery. 35 grand.
No shit.
Oh.
God. 3,000 pounds,
And how
35G.
much is the sticker price on the Hummer?
That's got to
I
be
have no
six
idea.
figures.
I would think.
Oh, I'm sure.
So you think of the percentage of battery to just sticker. Wow. Yeah. Huh. Yeah. So there was, you know what? There was one other thing about EVs that was you were bringing up, and that was a pretty interesting prediction you had, Matthew, on um, kind of the leasing factor from the bank or the lender's perspective on getting these things back, and maybe they want to kick that can down the road a little bit.
I absolutely the traditional manufacturers 100%. I think they definitely want to push these out as long as possible. I don't know what Tesla's doing with all their lease returns. I
I
don't
was
know
going to
what they're
say, what
doing.
do they do with them?
Yeah, because I don't. They're not bringing them to Mannheim and launching 1,000 a week. I do know that there's a ton of um, private equity companies that see EVs not having the same traditional depreciation rate, and they want to hold these cars all on their balance sheet because they could release them or subscribe them or use them for ride sharing. um, I heard that I don't know, Scott Painter from TrueCar, he had a business like that. I know there's like half a dozen raising a ton of capital because they believe that EVs have this really you know low depreciation, long lifespan. Um, and I guess there are lots. These guys are pretty smart. I guess that's true. But who knows how much further all this technology is going to advance um, throughout that time. So, who knows?
Hmm. I, about 10 years ago, we installed a bunch of solar panels on the roof, and I always had the goal of let's use batteries and not just do net metering, selling the power back to the power company. And
Mm-hmm.
man, in 10 years, you had a 10-year span with the power company where they guaranteed a certain amount that they pay you for the power you generate. So, like, all right, within 10 years, the battery will be there. I'll be able to put batteries in the house. I won't have to rely on the power company much at all, maybe in the wintertime. No, we're not there.
No.
10 years ago, I was like, yeah, that'll happen. Yeah. Boy, was that
Tesla,
wrong.
it hurts.
What's available? Yeah, you're 100%. I took one in Arizona last month for fun. That's all they had left. Yeah, the rental companies love this stuff.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So you think we might see like a 60-month lease?
Um, yeah, so after we start moving these cars and the payments are bananas, um, and they realize it's a fact of life, right? So the early adapters have already gone through their first and second and third EV, and now we got to get the masses, and we have to buy the market. Yeah, we're gonna have to get creative somehow. We're gonna have to get creative somehow. 60 month. I did 60-month leases a long time ago.
84-month lease. Here we go.
I could listen. What that I just as dealers, the manufacturers, everyone, they need us because we're the crafty ones that move the product. And as you know, you can never duplicate or replicate us. We are like dealers are like Reddit for other groups, right? They give us a program and they give it to all their dealers, and we figure out all the loopholes, the best way to do it, how to move the metal, how to work the program. Um, we are so undervalued. It's insane. And, as EVs were taking off, all the manufacturers, they negotiated new deals, EVs, less margin, they cost us more money. We need to do things differently. We need to do it online only. It's Fantasyland BS. They need us to move the metal unless, we're going to go by the ways of Lordstown, Rivian, and Lucid and just it's a pretty PowerPoint, not reality.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have EVs and we can move the metal. Every time I speak to you guys, I talk about they sit around and they look at the valuation of Tesla. They need to give that up. Give Tesla its props and give Elon their props. Like, it's a different business. They own the market. They were the first there, but they pushed the entire industry into this, and now they need to lean into their dealer network to move the metal. And that's the reality. And if they haven't come to that conclusion today, they'll come to it when the cars are piled up on their lots, and they need us to move them for them.
Res Drew says, move the
Move the lithium.
Move the lithium.
That's a good one. All right.
Sounds like a drug dealer.
So, another thing we were going to talk about today that doesn't hit anyone's hot buttons whatsoever was AI. And Jeff, you were just getting your first taste of some Chat GPT, right?
Yeah, earlier this week. Figured I'd jump in, ask a few questions.
What'd you think?
That was it. Came across very biased with some of the questions. Of course, that doesn't mean that's how AI is. It's just how it was programmed to be. So, but I don't know. Where do we see that coming into the dealership world? I saw you had a note. You had a note here. Could have replaced the BDC or internet managers.
I don't think we have to go that far yet. I mean, we've been using AI now, I would say, for 90 days, and it's like our punch-up writer, right? It's we use it to improve our emails, improve our text messages. And I see my team, they're not only using it with the customers, but, it's embedded into our CRM. So, they're writing like intercompany emails or emails back to the factory. We're giving away our trade secrets. And they're throwing it in to the CRM just to punch it up a little bit before they hit send. So it's not replacing people, but we sound like we graduated from high school and college. I'm not saying none of us didn't graduate from high school or college, but in the car business, we're used to the intercompany emails and all text because they went from Reynolds into Outlook, and they didn't take the cap off. We're not the most eloquent writers. So it's definitely a great tool that we're using to punch up all our communications.
So are you using it to respond to internet leads, or you also mentioned chat?
Yeah, so we let our AI fly on its own, but we also use AI. We have the ability to take any message, any text, or any email and hit the button and have AI kind of rewrite what we just said. We also have the ability for AI to be like, hey, AI, write a thank you letter and just freestyle the whole thing. I don't think I'm so into that yet because it sounds like AI. But as far as punching up text message and emails, I think it's pretty cool. And again, I'm everyone talks about AI wherever they go. But we've been using it for 90 days, and I think it's pretty cool. I have some customers though, when AI is flying on its own, customers like, okay, thanks AI, let me know when you're reopened. And I'm like,
that's great.
I'm like, give me that customer to sell a car to. I like that guy.
That's great. We had a discussion, an ongoing discussion over in the forums, and there was, I think was it Greg Gifford? He had a different opinion on it because
On
some people were talking about using it just as you're using it, just to sort of spice it up a little bit. And I have to go back to that discussion. He has some good points to go along with it.
Yeah, I don't know that I totally agree with him on that one. I was
Well, I think it comes down to, and that was my question for you, Matthew, is like, are you able to track, a different response rate or, a different show rate? Has it really improved
I haven't
anything?
done that. No, listen, at one of our stores, it is a very diverse store. You come in on a Saturday, they're speaking Spanish, Korean, Hebrew, Farsi. There's a multitude of languages. So let's just say I have a Korean salesperson. Their emails in English are not that great. Okay. So it's a tremendous tool to know that my Korean team, when they're writing in English, could actually put together a decent email or text message.
Okay.
Um, so that's how again, it's so new, but that's one observation. I'm not tracking it to show rate. I'm not tracking it to any metrics. But if I sit at my 20 group meeting and they mystery shop me and they put my responses up on the big screen, I'm going to be less likely to be embarrassed by a pathetic
Okay.
email that was sent out by one of the associates. That's how I
That's a
feel.
great answer. That's a good answer. I'll take that.
there's another component that there's a word that AI definitely takes care of for so many of us, and it'll just continue to get better and better. But the word is consistent, and one of the things you can count on that technology to do is provide a consistent response to a customer, and can do it at times of day where you know our teams are not willing to work, or um, or sleeping, or whatever it might be. So there's that factor as well. Um, there's
Hmm.
a lot of turnover in dealerships, and it's hard to be
Yeah.
consistent with messaging.
Yeah.
It's hard to be consistent with actually responding to stuff. Um, it's fast, so when it comes to like stopping clocks or making sure you have the right response when a mystery shop comes from the manufacturer, or those kind of things, it it's going to help you check those boxes too. There's it might not be there in providing the perfect human response to every customer, but I think it's getting like it's definitely over the 60% territory now, and it's happening fast. That's the like the I think the initial predictions on AI being viable was like they said it'd be like 5 years from some point. This is a bunch of AI professionals and whatnot, and it ended up getting there in a year. And the shocking part to me with this whole thing is the photography capabilities that have come up. So in January, these AI tools, like you tell it to make a picture of a bald eagle, um, and it would be like this crazy, like 5-year-old drawing kind of thing that nothing is 5-year-olds, Matthew, by the way. But he's celebrating his son's fifth today. But the but it would be this ugly ass thing, right? And in 3 months, like March, it was producing what could have rivaled a photograph right out of the best digital SLR camera. And
Hmm.
one was submitted to a photography contest, and like I think 12 professional photography judges all selected it, not realizing it was
Yeah.
an AI image. It fooled them.
Yeah, because he didn't tell him that it was an AI image
No, but
until afterwards.
look at what it did to Christine Lagarde and Jerome Powell recently, faking Zelensky on a Zoom call. They thought they were
Yeah, I
talking
saw
to
that.
Zelensky, and
Yep, I
started
saw that.
saying some things that
Yeah,
yeah,
that's some scary shit.
as you guys are saying this, like with my automotive hat, we need AI for phone ups. I mean, we are so bad at phones, and like internet leads is one thing, and emails and text messages. But man, you give me some AI on phone pops, it sounds like a real person. Please do that because we just. I still listen to phone calls daily, and I just want to kill myself. It is the most
Yeah.
depressing thing on it, and Carbis is better than other industries. They don't care. They just outsource it. They don't even want you on the phone. But we want people on the phone. We need AI for phone ups. Get me that somebody. That's what I want. Oh my
That's
god.
coming. There's a couple of companies out there that are getting closer with it, and yeah, it's just a matter of turning the text into voice. But as these things, these models are just getting better at picking up keywords, and that's really what it is. It's getting a keyword or a combination of keywords, and then throwing out a response that is intelligible and relevant to those keywords that were given to it. And and it's just a matter of being able to do that in text. There's so much voice to text stuff, and that technology is getting really good too. Um, that it's just
Yeah.
a matter of
Scary.
time. You'll have that wish answered.
Probably within a year,
Not this year, Matthew. Definitely in the next two.
for sure.
It's crazy.
You mentioned earlier. You said you've got it baked into the CRM.
Mhm.
Which CRM are you using that's got AI baked into it enough to be able to produce results like that?
Drive centric.
Okay.
You just
Interesting.
switched to that, didn't you?
Mhm.
Yeah, because you were
Yeah.
on Dealer Socket, weren't you?
No, Vin solution.
Vin. That's right. Well, that'll be a sales pitch coming here soon. Every time you walk down the aisle at a NADA, now it'll be real AI,
Yeah.
not that shit they've been trying to sell to us for years.
Oh my god.
Yeah, a bunch of if-then statements with
Yeah.
templates. Yeah, no, it's getting real.
Yeah, we got so much crazy stuff. It's I guess it's exciting.
Scary and exciting, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just got back from visiting an AI vendor. We're heavily looking at it, and um, got to see behind the scenes of it all. And it's the real deal. It is the real deal. Anyway, and I know Joe Pastello's been commenting. He's been playing with Chat GPT for a while now. There's a great thread on Dealer Refresh between him and Rick Buffkin posting some cool stuff. Like one of the things that I didn't think of when Chat GPT was first getting some public praise and whatnot was how easy it was for writing email templates for CRM.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty good at that. That's when I was like, oh, this is definitely better than like some of those outsourced uh, text broker kind of things that would write SEO content.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and then a human would go like usually they're in India, so an American would have to go in there and overwrite some of the stuff to make it sound a little more biased to this country, and yeah, you don't need that anymore.
No. Yeah. No, well, you mentioned SEO. I think that's what the discussion was around that Greg Gifford jumped in. It wasn't around using it to respond. It was around using it for SEO, for different pages on the website around SEO.
And that's why I don't agree with them because you can as soon as the AI is unleashed on vehicle model information, things like that, it's going to start cranking out the very specific
Yeah.
content that you want on a dealership website. Yeah, and it'll be better than what's being written for you now if you're buying an SEO package from a website vendor.
Just wasting your money mostly.
Hmm. Yeah.
300 time travelers.
Hmm.
Well, they can't. Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
I see those jobs got to be coming from the tech sector, right? They're coders, programmers.
Some of that. So right now, the way I think the AI is being used in code is it's doing a lot of the basic code. But when it comes to being creative and being able to slice things together, the human coder still trumps it. But when it's just there's in code you're doing a lot of writing the same thing over and over again, the redundant parts of it. But
Hmm.
yeah, and it's good for doing that. It'll cut hours out of the day for an engineer. Great for that.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, and Joe, yeah, Joe Pastel, customer support is toast. Yep, I think the um, I could see us getting to a point pretty soon where we'll have maybe one person in the dealership who's an escalation point for the AI, and the AI is handling like all the internet leads and all the chats and everything like that, and is getting them into an appointment. I think it can take a customer down that path consistently, pretty often,
Hmm.
um, and that 10 to 20% of the time where the customer might have something a little deeper, like, hey, I see there's a rust spot on this car. Is it okay? That kind of thing. That the human can go and handle that.
Mhm.
Correct.
But like, how much is the car? Is it available? What's my trade worth? Well,
Yeah.
AI
General
can handle.
questions would be easy.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Wow.
Fun.
Hmm.
Well, how's everything
Send me
else
the
going for
tool
you,
I looked
Matthew? What's business like?
at.
So business is. It feels like it's. I would say 2021 for us, where we can't kind of came out of COVID and we had a ton of cars and we had to make up for lost traction and we were selling a lot of volume and grosses were what grosses were like in those days. Um, yeah, so we're selling more cars, we're making less money. Um, so it's back to normal. I think it's good. It's an adjustment for all the staff. Um, that were paid on a percentage of gross, and now it's volume. But
Yeah.
I think they're getting used to it. The back to the good old days. There's a lot of people that came into our industry that never experienced this, that just came in the good times. Um, it's
Same way with
really
real
tough.
estate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, it's all in all, it's not bad. It's not bad. We're not complaining. It's hard.
Good.
It's hard.
Roller coaster.
That's it. That's it. We could do anything. That's I love I love car dealers. We're such an asset to anyone. We could do anything. We could be the highest grossers, we could be the lowest grossers, we could sell volume, we could not sell volume, we could do used cars, we could buy cars off the streets to survive. We will figure it out. But I don't think anyone could do this game without us. I really don't. I think without us, when those cars start piling up at the port and it's on their balance sheet, they'll
Yeah.
be looking for someone to get rid of the cars too.
How many market changes have we had in the last 3 years now? So you think, since COVID hit, right? So we had the period where only essential businesses could be open. Right? Matthew, you were the master of adopting that one. And then the reopen. All right. So you got
Mhm.
that drastic shift, and the people who were sick of looking at the wallpaper in their house decided, hey, I'll go spend 8 hours in a dealership, no problem. Um,
Mhm.
so then you had that. Then chips started the inventory shortage. So we've been
Yeah.
had that the longest period, which that was a tough time for advertising vendors and anyone who was had a sales enablement product of some sort. Um, that was rough because why do you need to pay for that when everyone's just
Yeah.
coming in and paying full pop and then some? Um, and then are we in a period now where the used car market? So we had a little bit of time there where the used car market was really jumpy for a little bit, and some of
It,
the appraisal tools and all couldn't keep up. Um,
Alex, just used cars are going to be jumpy, I think, for the foreseeable future. I mean, we saw this crazy market, and then we all predicted it would come crashing down. So everybody liquidated everything they had in December. And they were getting off cars saying, "Hey, I'm not paying phantom income tax on all this profit. Let's get rid of the cars." They dumped cars in December, and then January, February, March, these cars came roaring back, and it made no sense because we had supply then. So we had supply, and then the value of cars are going back January, February, March. Today was a bad day at Mannheim, PA. I mean, the market was kind of soft. It was a little soft last week. So it was roaring back until about 2 weeks ago. And I think we're just going to see ups and downs and ups and downs. And then, we were ties back. Used EVs are like sale proof. They're like, I mean, and that's because everyone's so aggressive. Tesla's making all these price changes. Everyone's trying to keep up, and these used EVs. I mean, again, EVs are meant to be leased right now, and I see that as a foreseeable future. So who buys a pre-owned EV when the 7500 is on the lease and all the programs are on the lease? So
True.
um, I think I didn't before I cut you off. I just think it's going to be we're never going to have a crystal ball with used. It's going to be up down up down up down. I think for the foreseeable future.
by the way, Jeff and I are meant to be cut off. We're just here to push the conversation. To cut us off. You're the star.
It's gonna be crazy. And then again, they roared back first quarter, and now we have supply. It's nuts, but we're still getting. I mean, if you in the scheme of things, we're still getting crazy value for a lot of used cars. Um, but the market is nuts.
So it's kind of like I watch the used car market quite a bit in specific cars, specifically ICEs. If you didn't catch the beginning of the show, don't ask me about the EV models. But the like I'm noticing Mercedes seems to be just through the roof. Um, Used car values, Cadillac, like the Escalade is insane right now. Obviously the Ford trucks, but
All
the
trucks.
like the Lincoln Aviator was one. That one is actually as a used car. It seems like a sensible buy because it has depreciated a bit for. And so is it becoming really brand sensitive now? These sort of micro adjustments and everything in the market.
Yeah, I think it does depend on the brand because it depends on how many cars are out there and what the cars are used for, um, and what the supply looks like now for cars. Yeah, I think that definitely had and most importantly, um, the new cars that the brands have. What are their programs like? Like if you have a new car brand that might have supply, but their programs stink, even in this interest rate environment, used might still be a better value proposition for them. So I think there's a lot of different dynamics. There's still a lot of manufacturers sitting on the sidelines thinking they don't have to incentivize cars to sell them. Um, so yeah, I think all of that has to do with it.
So, for example, the Aviator, you've got some supply, new car supply, right?
We do, and we'd like to see them be more aggressive on the leasing end. Ford Motor Credit and Lincoln Financial, they've always been a company that has been more conservative when it comes to leasing. Um, it's just they look at a retail as a more profitable venture than a lease, and they've really never realized that a lease is building brand loyalty, and it's selling a car 1, 2, and 3 times in that same cycle that we're selling a customer one car. But they've always, since Ford owned Volvo back in the day, they always looked at leasing as an expense and not an investment into brand loyalty. Um, so they're not as aggressive when it comes to the Germans and Volvo in the luxury space and leasing. And luxury cars is all about leasing.
I wonder why Ally and U.S. Bank seem to be so favorable to leases. So they tend to beat out the captives. And this is across the spectrum, not
Yeah.
just the highlines, but they do this. Toyota regularly, Chrysler regularly. Um, I wonder what they're seeing. Why they feel so strongly about leasing.
I think their cost of funds is less than the traditional OEM's cost of funds for the most part. I think they could borrow cheaper. There's margin in it. As a dealer, I personally hate the third parties though, right? I don't like them because um, the manufacturers just have so many tools to keep someone brand loyal, and it's really hard to keep those third parties brand loyal when it comes to end of lease process. Um, it's not seamless, where that the return process, getting into a new car, breaking the lease early. I hate it. I hate it. When I see there's some credit unions out there that are heavily into leasing, and when we're putting a number on some credit unions, we're like, oh man, there's nothing we can do. We can't get you out. And man, we love to early term anyone. I don't care if you have the car for 3 months. Let's go. We'll flip you into a new lease. But there's some credit unions that just make it impossible.
This is the. I wish everyone thought this way about brand loyalty and turning the customer more often. So instead of turning the cars as often, how often can you turn customers? Maybe there's a new Dale Pollock stat in there somewhere.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah. Well, Dale's retired from Velocity, and you know he's got a whole new philosophy on used cars. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but he yeah, he's evolved. But I'm glad that he's still around because I love him. He's amazing. And when he's gone, the company that he's employed with, I don't know what they have left.
No comment.
Yeah, sorry. Uh,
Well, Matthew, thank you for your time today. It's always a blast having you on and learn something every time.
Absolutely. Thanks,
Thanks,
Matthew.
Jeff. Thanks, Alex. Thanks. I love being here. I'll come on anytime. And yeah, keep it going.
Will do. Actually, and this morning was 18 years.
Oh God,
Wow.
I just
right.
remembered that.
That's our
I
birthday.
just remembered that. Yeah.
That
Today's
is
dealer refresh 18 years.
that is amazing.
Yeah.
That
Just got the alert on my
congratulations.
phone this morning.
Oh yeah.
All
Right.
right,
Oh,
gentlemen. Have a good weekend.
thank you.
Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.